I'm ready.
It says we're live, Fox 5.
Live
Is
Fox
that the
Five. Welcome to the Chicken
Afro
Box,
5?
everybody. It is another Thursday, and we will never mention the F5 word ever again. Speaking of F words, today is Black People versus Boss B. We're a family show, a serious news organization, but Chicken Boxes where we come and speak our truth about stereotypes, discrepancies in the Black community, and how Black people feel about certain topics, certain terms, and certain things that are going on in the culture and around the world. I'm your host, your co-host, Kevin Impeccable Peck, along with, and I represent the Gen Xers. Okay, we do say generational. We're a multi-generational show. So all my Gen Xers, throw them up. Yep. Rest in peace, DMX. Anyway, you got it. Dr. Draper, welcome. What happened to our names?
Hey there, Kevin. Hey, Impeccable. You know what? We've missed you over the last week or so. We're glad to have you back with us on today on the Chicken Box. So I'm Francis Tony Draper, a CEO of the nearly 130-year-old Afro-American newspaper. I think we can claim 130 now. We're in the 130th year, and we are so glad to be with you. As you can see, my name on the screen. I am yes CEO, but I'm also an MB, a millennial boomer. Not the same kind of bee we're talking about today, though. But good to be here. So I'm gonna kick it over to you, Misha Green.
Oh my goodness, Dr. Draper, you weren't supposed to tell a joke before I had to say something. That was hilarious. I am Misha Green, and I'm representing for the boomer millennials, all of us millennials out there who have an appreciation for the boomer culture and the things that the wiser generation has taught us about how to approach life and culture. And it's interesting because I think this conversation is one of the most intergenerational conversations we've had that really will, I think, um, show our who we're representing for. I'll say that. I'll say that. And maybe not. Maybe I'll be very wrong in this conversation as well. But I don't know. I just think that this will be a very cool time for us to see if generationally we are have differences or not. That we'll start there. Is that a fair way to put it, Dr. Draper?
Well, I think that's always a fair way to put it. And we'll say this, that even if you fall within a certain generation, as Misha and I claim a little bit of both, people are just different in how they look at things. And so I think it'll be a fascinating conversation.
Yeah, I'll say in the research for this, I was very pleasantly surprised to see that even millennials are not a monolith when it comes to what we're talking about today.
But let's get right into what we're talking about today. Today's topic. Welcome to the Chicken Box. Put a comment in the chat. We're gonna need y'all to be with us the whole time today. Tell us where you're from. It is Black People versus Boss Bees. You can figure it out. We're not trying to use that language on this show, but you get the gist of what the B we're talking about. It's Women's History Month, and in the month of March, the Afro is highlighting women who win. We have a big Black Business Matters second annual conference highlighting women who win on March the 24th. But however, women who win sometimes get nicknamed certain things, such as the HBIC, and that's what we're talking about today, a boss B. So you may have heard the term or the phrase, or some of you may be scratching heads trying to figure out what the boss B is. I think if you're old enough, you'll figure it out. For some reason, some people, you've been saying this word all your life. Not all your life, but at a certain point through middle school. We're saying we're saying the edited version today, but we're gonna break it down. Is it offensive to all women? Is it offensive to some women? Is the phrase negative? Is it problematic? Is it causing cultural differences? How do you feel about the phrase and the term boss B? Is it reclaiming a negative connotation? We're going to get into it. We have a special guest today as we tackle this subject, Black people versus boss Bs. And Misha, why don't you introduce our special guest today so we can have another perspective of what we feel about this boss B?
Yes, I am so honored to introduce our guest today. She is a sister friend of mine. She's Dr. Draper's sorority sister as well, I should say. Um, and she is just a true boss. We don't have to put the B, but she is college girl JB. So maybe she's a boss in that sense. But our very special guest is Jessica Brown. And she is known and celebrated as College Girl or College Girl JB. And Jessica is nationally recognized as a financial aid expert, as founder and CEO of College Girl and founder and president of the College Girl Foundation, and author of How to Pay for College When You're Broke. Jessica educates students and families on how to make the best informed decisions around financing a college education. And Jessica is named the financial aid godmother and uses her experiences to help students and families across the country get a financial plan for post-secondary education. And her mission is to ensure that students obtain financial freedom post-graduation. And I have to say, I met Jess at an NNPA conference, I think in like 2015 or 2016. And she was just so dynamic and amazing and talking about financial aid from such an informed place, and really having these publishers of the Black press, on their feet and rallied up. And so she has the ability not only to educate, but truly to inspire. And so without further ado, welcome Jessica Brown.
Good afternoon, everyone.
Good. Welcome to the Chicken Box, Jessica. We're going to get right into it. Have you ever heard of the term boss B?
Yes.
I know you don't live under a rock. What sticks out? What stands out? Is it offensive in your?
Well, right. I mean, I honestly for me, it depends on the context, right? If I'm maybe posting an Instagram caption or something like that, and I'm serving, boss B, but I mean, I understand culturally, it's just a term that people use. I don't see it as a derogatory term, but I'm not saying I prefer to be called boss B, but I don't necessarily have an issue with it. I mean, boss B, boss lady, or just boss in general, right? Well, you could just call me a boss in general. It just all depends on the way the term is being used for me personally.
All right. So this is the time when we get on the box, right? This is what the chicken box is all about. If you're from the Baltimore area, a chicken box is a nice, greasy, fried, full wings, salt, pepper, ketchup, a little. If you like that, you want some hot sauce on it. You got some nice cut wedges, not French fries, big cut wedges. And by the time you get home, the box is greasy. So that's the chicken box. If you haven't experienced it when you're in Baltimore, just ask where you can find the chicken box. You might call it other things, other places, but here's where you speak your truth. So 30 seconds, ladies. Let's get on the box and talk about how you feel about the term boss B. Dr. Draper?
Well, I'm like Jessica. I don't think I don't want to be called boss B, right? And I think it depends on who's doing the calling, who's doing it, right? And in what context. And so, if we look at when the term first originated and the song and all of that, it can be offensive. It just depends. We say all kinds of things to one another, right? And so people who are in close relationship will say maybe that's my end, but you better not have anybody else call you that, right? In a certain context. And so it just depends on who it is, what they're saying, it can be very offensive, as can things that don't even have profane words in them. It can still be offensive. Now, we talked about, well, my 30 seconds is up. I'll say something else a little later. I'm going to pass it on to Misha.
Well, no, I'm curious what you have to say, but I'm excited to hear it later. I think for me, the term, as Jessica said, is so much a part of our culture that I have accepted it in a sense. It's not my preference to be called. It's not what I call people when I'm celebrating their boss nature. And some of the research that we did or that we've done for the show today, I found that uh, putting the B word behind it really almost uh, takes a little value out of the fact that the person is a boss, right? Because it's not like when we see a man who is a boss and killing it, do we say that's a boss man or boss in or anything? We say he's a boss. And so I'll just end with this. One of my um, favorite things to do is cover new shows. And one of the shows that I believe started either in 2020 or 2021, but it's called She's the Boss on the E channel. And it stars Nicole Walters, who is a DMV girl, a finance marketing mogul woman herself. And Nicole it has a really hilarious gay black maybe he's of some sort of Caribbean or Latin descent, but uh, appears a gay black man as her assistant. And he calls her Jefa, which Jefe in Spanish is boss. Jefa, technically, right, would be a woman boss. And though I hate, one of the things that I speak Spanish pretty fluently, and one of the things that sort of bothers me, but yet I love about Spanish is that you separate the feminine and masculine, but I kind of like jefa, because it kind of gives the boss vibe. You're still a boss, but it gives respect to the fact that you're a woman and putting the work.
I think she might have froze on us. Boom. Anyway, if you just tuned in, this is Black People versus Boss B. Like, how do we feel as a culture, as a community about the word? I'm gonna hop on the box. The B word always was a fighting word when I was growing up. As soon as you heard it, it made you feel a way. And after doing some research, whenever men seemed to be intimidated in the past and they couldn't control a situation, what they came up with was this B word. Now, I've seen in the culture today where women, like Dr. Draper said, who's talking, they will call each other bees all day long, and it means nothing. And it's sometimes empowering, sometimes it's like, hey, you look really good, or you did that bee, or what I mean, or look at, it doesn't offend at all. But then the word bee for a man can feel emasculating because it makes it feel like somebody's calling you weak or feminine. So it has all of these different things that are out there. And so me personally, I'll go with who's talking, and who you're talking to. But as an overall global term, I think that it'll probably do more harm than good as a global term. But as a, my N with a GA is this, I mean, that's my dude. That's my man. So I think it goes the same way as that. But we don't want to hear with the ER ever. So I'm off the box.
Well, Kevin, let me get back on my second half of the box. As I said, you're right. And Misha said something about generationally. Generationally, listen, when I was growing up, you better not call anybody a B anything. And the first thing you'd say if someone did is, that's a female dog and I'm not that. Right? So, you didn't even want your friends calling you the B word. And I think it's somewhat like that today, at least in our generation, that because people called us so many names, they still call Black people names now. That's not the name that's not the name your mother gave you. And so what we may say behind closed doors, what we may say to one another when other people are not around, we may or may not, depending on what our comfort level is. But definitely, you don't want to be called that in public, at least not in our generation.
Right, and even by your friends sometimes,
Oh,
depending on the tone and how y'all, if y'all are in a conversational or a fun mood, but if you still say that word and y'all are beefing, then it all of a sudden it still could escalate to something outside of the conversation sometimes. Or
Well, and
yeah. What do you
I
say,
also
Jess?
I think another perspective too to look at it, like we said, depending on who says it, right? Because a lot of times if I go out with my friends and I'm slaying and I'm giving boss B, it's also a term of assertiveness. Nobody's gonna mess with me. Nobody's gonna play with me because they know I'm not taking their stuff today. So because of the way I pump in the room, my personality, what I'm giving, what I'm serving, oh yeah, that's a boss B. Culturally, me and Mimi more so have seen that as like, oh no, she's nothing to play with. So but again, it depends on who's delivering that message. And then and on the opposite end, if it comes from somebody who's delivering it that I may not like, they know not to mess with me too. So because they know I'm not taking their stuff. So it all depends because for the longest it was HBIC or HNIC, right? And that was like, back in like the early 2000s, right? Now we have this new term, boss B. Or, for men, of course, they drop the B and they're just a boss. So, I ultimately feel like it definitely depends. I know the B word sometimes can be a term of endearment or can be considered rude or can be considered, very demeaning. But I know now in this culture, it's like we bypassed all of that. And it's like when you say those two words together, it means that it's weird that she's powerful. I don't know how B became a powerful term, but they know not to take no stuff when the boss B comes up in the room.
Yeah, it's
Absolutely.
almost like a persona, I think, is what it has become in this generation, at least. If you see or hear the term boss B, it generally is in reference to somebody, as Jessica said, who doesn't take no stuff, who oh, that's Jess, she's coming through. All right, let me step back. You know what I mean? But it's also, uh, as we're prepping for this Women Who Wins conference, I'm talking to a lot of women who are saying they have to sort of put on an attitude, right? Put on as they're doing their makeup or their hair or anything else, this sort of boss mentality. And I think the term boss B, at least now, is almost like a reclamation of the B word in saying that it is powerful. I am strong. I can do anything, and I am a force to be reckoned with.
I agree 100%. If you just tuned in, this is the Chicken Box where you speak your truth. We're talking about black people versus boss B, the word boss B. We're getting down to it. Do you think of yourself as a boss B? Do you even say it to yourself and it gives you some type of empowerment to go out and do your thing in the marketplace or in the business or in the boardroom? Or is it something that is really offensive to you? Or are you on the line, or have you maybe never even heard of the term before? If you're sleeping under a rock, no, it maybe I'm not sure, but it's a lot of stereotypes out there, right? And so, since the pandemic, we created the digital streets. Okay, so it's always things that we hear on these digital streets. Misha Green, what are you hearing about this boss B scenario out there on the digital streets?
Well, the digital streets have been very busy talking about boss bees, I must say. Of course, the pandemic brought out a further appreciation of the term and phrase. And if you think about TikTok and Instagram Reels and the things that we sort of see and ingest every day in the social media world, it's there. There's that song, B, you're doing a good job. B, you're doing a good job. I don't know if you guys have seen that, but it's a whole thing, you know. Also, can we just talk about the fact that Jess and I are matching? I love that. Anyway, so as always, I must emphasize these are general stereotypes, folks talking on the digital streets, not views of the Afro American newspapers. So let's get down to the digital streets of Boss B. There's a direct quote. There's a big difference in bad bees and a boss bee. Know the difference. The second is, I only want boss bee friends. Someone else said, it's never a boss bee hating, it's always the broke, dumb ones with poor credit. I thought that one was funny. What's something that feels like feminism but isn't actually feminism? And the person said the term boss bee and the term girl boss. This is a man who wrote this. The phrase boss bee is unisex for me. Someone else said, the phrase boss bee makes my internal organs explode. And then someone else said, stop using the phrases girl boss, boss babe, boss bee. These are not empowering terms. They're implying a woman can't be just a boss and that the default of a boss is a man. Boss is the goal. Boss is the standard. Girl boss is insulting. And there you have it. That's what the digital streets got to say. I saw Jess and Dr. Draper and Impeccable giggling at some of these. Is it always a boss be that, I mean, is it always the broke, dumb people with poor credit versus a boss be that be hating Jess? Am I here? Can
You're
y'all
on
hear
mute.
me?
Yeah, Jessica, you're on mute.
Oh, sorry. I mean, I honestly, my perspective is I don't even bother with other people, you know, what they think, what they say, how they feel, you know. I mean, it really all depends on the person. You're a girl boss, you're a boss. You could be whoever you want to be nowadays. How about that? You know what I'm saying? If you want to be a girl boss, be a girl boss. You want to just be a girl, just be a girl. You want to be a boss, just be a boss. You know what just, you know, it's, I think, you know, now we just live in this world of so many titles, so many things, like it's just so much, right? And everything gets criticized, right? You know, we're always just trying to get to the bottom of what does a boss be? You know what I mean? Like, you know, we got to get to the bottom of what is a girl boss? What is real black girl magic? What is this? What is that? You know, sometimes you just got to take it for what it is, you know? And that's kind of where my position is. At this point, I just kind of take it for what it is. I don't really use it as a term. I don't prefer to be called boss B, you know, if I don't really know you. But if me and Mimi are having a conversation, I know many times I've seen Mimi on different red carpets interviewing. She may not say boss B, but I know I'm serving boss B. She could be like, girl, you over there. You killing it, sis. You killing it, girl. You giving them everything. And I know what that means culturally. If I had to find a term for it in my head, it'd be all these different names. So, you know, again, it depends on the person. You know, sometimes I think we look too much into stuff and, you know, we can use our energy somewhere else.
Man, that was good. That was good. If you just tuned in, we have a special guest, Jessica Brown, college girl, JB. And that, I don't know what the B stands for, but you tell us.
Jessica Brown.
Okay. Just wanted to make sure. Just black. I wasn't sure what was going to come out there. But we are powered by the Afro American newspaper. We're celebrating 130 years. If you haven't seen us ever, and we just popped up on your thread because somebody shared it, go to afro.com. We are the oldest black business, black media company in Maryland, and the third oldest black business in the country. Quite a feat. Congratulations, Afro, and hopefully you can join us on the big 130. I have to give a shameless plug for us because, listen, black people, if we do not celebrate and highlight each other, who's going to do it? Black people versus the boss B. Does it put your drawers in a bunch? Does it make you just cringe, or can you dap each other up on the red carpet and be like, Because black people, we can look at each other and we can, you can say it in your mind and feel it. And I like the point of don't add too much into it. Dr. Draper, it's when do we get the Urban Dictionary anyway? We probably need to do Black people versus the Urban Dictionary
That's
one
right.
day.
That's right.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we can have some terms in the Urban Dictionary, but as a CEO and Jessica's a CEO of her company, we don't want to be known. We don't want to be stereotyped and labeled any kind of way, right? I mean, anyway is what I mean. I don't mean any kind of way, but why do we have to be labeled? Why do we have to have a name at all, right? And so we don't have to receive it. We don't have to wear it. We don't have to own it. And the things that we may say to each other culturally, we really would take offense if someone who didn't look like us called us that, right? So I think we have to be careful what we say, how we say it. And we got a lot of folk who are watching right now. I hope they'll weigh in the chat, as a couple of them have already done. Sean and Patrick and Frank, Byron, I see you all there. But so I don't want anybody to call me any kind of B. That's personally, I don't want to be called that. Now, if somebody is as Jessica just said, somebody's rocking it and you want to, come up there and, kind of whisper it to them. Okay. You know how that goes and you can do that, but I don't want to be introduced that way. I don't want to see that underneath my name on a Zoom, right? I don't want to be called and labeled because everybody's connotation of that label is not the same. So I'm with you, Jessica Brown. Let's just not label it. And my other thing is, would I want my mother to be called that? And I don't think so. That's just me. I'm off the box.
You got on the box. I thought we would listen, I'll get into some of the, we would talk about the Urban Dictionary. You want to keep going, Dr. Draper?
What, on the Urban Dictionary? No,
let's get into. I know we've been saying what we have been thinking about the term. I was just wondering.
Well, see, let me say this to you, Kevin. I mean, and I call you impeccable. Let me say this: everything that's out there, because it's in a dictionary, I don't care what kind of dictionary it is, doesn't mean that I embrace it. There's some language that our young people hear and use, and it's in the Urban Dictionary, and therefore it's supposed to be all right. There's some lyrics that I find offensive because I can't be two different people. You know what I'm saying? So I try not to cross that line. I try not to have certain things in my spirit, because what happens is if you hear it enough, then you start saying it. If you say it enough, then you start believing it. If you believe it enough and it infiltrates the culture enough, then you will find yourself immune to whatever people call you and whatever people do to you, because that's the box they've put you in.
Boom. If you just tuned in, this is Black People versus Boss Bees. And as I did some research, I did go to the Urban Dictionary, and it said a boss bee is a confident, successful, and independent woman who speaks her mind. She stands up for what she believes in. She keeps it 100. But I'm reading, y'all. So she keeps it 100% real with everyone. She sets boundaries and isn't afraid to go after what she wants. She's unique. She's courageous and fierce. Her dreams are huge, and her ambition is even bigger. She is an advocate of empowerment of women and knows that a strong mindset and putting herself first is for the betterment of everyone and everything around her. She has positive energies. She's charismatic, and she has a really, 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 really drive to succeed and make her an influential leader and a role model and a mentor to other women. She is a force to be reckoned with, y'all, and can be intimidating from afar. But once you get to know her, you'll realize she can be loving, caring, a friend, a confidant, and your own personal cheerleader.
Bam,
so when I hear that definition,
yep,
I'm super okay with boss B. Like, I'm like, hey, all the women I know in my family are boss Bs. If that's the definition from the Urban Dictionary. What y'all think?
I think if that's the definition from the Urban Dictionary, that says who we are, who I am. Probably I saw my sisters on this screen saying. I looked it up, another one up too, Kevin. It says a boss bee is a girl. Let's see. Okay, I'm gonna read what it says. It says a girl who plays her cards right and cupcakes with no feelings. They run whoever they want and get whatever they want from any guy they want. See, that's another definition of boss B. I don't think we'll give any thumbs up on that one. They do what they please
Cupcake.
with no questions asked, right? So here we go with two definitions, but I think all of us like that first one that you read from the Urban Dictionary.
Absolutely. I think any woman, I think any mankind, any person can hear those words and be empowered and be charged to really get their day started, their life started, their career started, their dreams started. So
I think I Urban Dictionary. Then if that's the case, I'm a boss B. Okay. I just think that the issue becomes the word bee. That's really because the true definition of a bee is a female dog, you know. But in today's definition, it has transcended in beyond a dog, you know. So that's honestly what I personally think. That Urban Dictionary definition, spot on. If that is what's going to be the definition of a boss bee. I just think again we're overthinking the word bee back in the day was so you why would you dare say that? You know what I'm saying? Whereas now B is like when you call your homegirl on the phone, hey B, call your homeboy on the phone, hey Ann, you know, hey, you know, whatever, you know, and I think that it's lost the root of what the word used to be. So that's probably why I think some people are 50-50 about using that term because of what the term bee was normally known to be as a female dog. And if that's the case, I'm not a bee, I am the bee. So that's on that.
Misha, Doja Cat was saying some things as a song called Boss B. What's that all about?
So yeah, she came out with this song "Boss B" as a part of the Birds of Prey movie, the Harley Quinn movie in 2020. And the song is catchy. It's very Harley Quinn esque. It's not even normal Doja Cat esque, if you will. You know, it's kind of punky, kind of rocky, kind of rap all in once. But I'll read some of the lyrics. I'm gonna work really hard to do the edited version. I'm gonna try to edit myself and not move too fast. But I'm curious if you all think that this goes back to that first Urban Dictionary definition and what we were talking about earlier about the persona of a strong, unmessable with woman. Alrighty. So
And
she
that's
starts with, yeah, ain't trying to be cool like you, wobbling around in your high heeled shoes. I'm coming friends with the floor. 2 for 1, you know, a B by 4. First thing a girl did was a bop. I'm the whole dang cake and the cherry on top. Shook up the bottom, made a good girl pop. I'll just stop there because I think that gives the vibe of what Doja Cat was trying to come across. Which Harley Quinn is a controversial character, right? But part of what makes Harley a likable character is that you can't mess with her, right? That's what makes her. Why his whole story it surrounds what she does is that she's super strong. So this 2020 song came out. Of course, the movie itself was a big sensation, and Harley Quinn sort of, I think, is we've made her a white woman. So the white woman version of the boss bee most recently portrayed. I also have, dang, I can't take it off of my thing, but I have this flyer. Maybe I can go like this of Like a Boss, right? Which came out also in 2020. And that sort of had, again, this boss bee mentality. Tiffany Haddish uses the term boss bee for sure. And so, yeah, I mean, it's very much a part of our culture. And particularly, I think millennials have embraced this the term. And so I'm curious what y'all think of this Doja Cat song, Boss B, 2020. Oh, and hi, Daddy. That's my daddy who said Medellin is watching.
Boom. What's up, Dad? I don't like those lyrics, but anyway, they didn't resonate. They didn't resonate with me. But and I'm a lyric guy. You know, like they say, country music. No, I'm just saying they say country music and R&B is the same with different instruments. You know what I mean? Just like Dolly Parton, "I Will Always Love You," and Whitney Houston. If you know that record, so lyrics ring to me differently. You know, country leads with lyrics. R&B will usually lead with music and then the melody, and then come up with lyrics. Hip hop, I think sometimes does a little bit of both. They may have the poetry down, or they might have a dope track that then they are able to write to. But as I say, for me, and that's the good thing about everybody's opinion, right? They don't have to like everything. I don't like it. So, Dr. Draper.
Well, so full transparency, I've never even heard of Doja Cat. I'm not into rap, so I can't even weigh in, except for I just heard what you said, Misha. So that's not an artist that's in my repertoire, but neither are most rap artists, right? So that's not my generation, and I love music, but rap, and somebody's gonna probably go ahead, y'all put it in the chat. I couldn't tell you one hip hop artist nor rapper just because. Now you want to talk to me about gospel music, you want to talk to me about some R&B, maybe. But so everybody's different. So I heard the lyrics for the first time, Misha, when you said them. I heard of the person for the first time when you said the name. So when you said Doja Cat, I wouldn't know whether it was male or female. So there you have it.
There you have it. Jess?
I say for Dr. Draper and all those our boomer or millennial boomer friends out there, Doja Cat also became famous from a song called Moo. And it was about, and the lyrics are, "B, I'm a cow, B, I'm a cow. I don't say," what is it, Jess? "I'm not a cat, I don't say meow." So lyrics are not necessarily what have made her famous.
Boo. I should have put a B on it. Boo. Anyway. Because that was horrible. Anyway, but hey, some people think it's music, other people think it's trash. And when some people think it's a treasure, so other people think it's trash. I'm not knocking her hustle, because if she's able to propel and take care of herself and earn money in the industry, God bless her. God bless her. Keep doing whatever you got to do. Seems like I'm not. Anyway, I'm gonna say something that I'm not supposed to say. So anyway, Jessica, come on back. Help me out here.
I mean, the thing is, it's so many songs that are like have the B word. Britney Spears got one called "Work B." You know what I'm saying? Even Meek Mill, even his song is like, "B, I'm a boss." Like now he's talking down on somebody else, letting them know like you a B, like you that dog, but I'm the boss. So it depends. Sometimes you could flip it. It depends on what the context is. Again, I think everything, this whole conversation, the bottom line is about context, the person delivering it, and who they're delivering it to. So there are certain people I would never call a boss B, because they ain't that urban dictionary definition. You know what I'm saying? They not even the first part, boss. So it all, for me, it all depends. But again, it's all about the culture. And honestly, unless we come up with more positive terms to use in these rap songs, just the same way as more positive imagery, we over sexualize women. We talk about drugs, we talk about selling them, we talk about, hey, if you have this much money, you could buy these many girls and you can have this much cars and jewelry and blah blah blah. Unless the people that are creating music that's where we technically get these terms from, change the trajectory of their songs and the language in them and call people beautiful, phenomenal young women like Maya Angelou, then this is the direction that we're going in. And this is the new positivity, you know, being called a boss beat. Pardon me. I didn't mean to say the word.
Don't worry about it. But and listen, they always used to say that wasn't a cuss word because they said it was a female dog, even in school. You know, if you were reading and said it, but you know, we all know what we're talking about. But we're talking about how our culture treats this situation. We wanted to bring this word up because it's out there. We're going to talk about things that are out there, and then it's also how we thinking about it. You know what I mean? How are we perceiving the things that are out there? And I like what you said. And it'll take a lot of reprogramming, and maybe that would never happen for a certain generation to code switch to a code that they haven't ever been programmed with. So, you know, and I've been in places where you've seen these young parents, they cuss at their children. I mean, it's like a second language, you know what I mean? And I don't know if it's like they naturally want to cuss at their children, but they do it because that was done to them. You know what I mean? And from a young age, they're saying these, you know, if you don't do the, you know, that's how they just, that's kind of like their lingo.
Because like again, it's their program. They've been programmed, right? You know, everything I feel like is a generational, everything comes down to being a generational cycle. You know, like if my mom called me a B, then I'm not going to have a problem with calling my teacher a B or calling a friend a B, you know, because my mom said it. Why can't I say it? You know, then we, you know, I feel really bad for this generation of kids, right? Because you have social media. Like I know when me and Mimi were coming out of college, social media was just starting to kind of make traction, but it wasn't what we thought it would ever be now. You know, and you know, it all comes down to like even students that I deal with, right? And I mentor them, you know, they don't see a problem with some of these outfits that they wear, you know, which I think is crazy. You know, like my mother would never let me step outside with Fashion Nova with sheer pants on at 17 years old. But then again, if your mother's wearing sheer pants, then you don't see a problem with it. So, you know, that's many of these languages start from the home, you know, and outside of the home, if everything that you watch and follow is the same thing, then there's no problem with it. So how do we continue on this trajectory? Or how do we reverse this and make it something positive and learn how to call people women, learn how to call people just regular bosses, learn how to call people different names? I think that's probably at this point, we have lost control of the car. So I don't think that's never going to happen.
That's strong because a lot of times what we say is we're in a strong correcting mode, right? When something doesn't agree with you, you are quick to point and you're quick to try to correct the situation. And maybe it's not always what you say, right? Maybe it's just how you say it. Because I think, and I've seen young people go from pants down, you know, I don't want to see what color underwear you got on, young man. You know what I mean? Pull your pants up or put a belt on or something. But once if maybe they get it a different way instead of like, you know, da 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 da, you shouldn't be, you know, if they get it another way in love and it makes them think about it, then possibly then they can make a change. You understand what I'm saying? Maybe it's how us as the generation ahead of them begin to communicate with them instead of maybe always with chastising them. You understand what I mean? That's just something I just thought about. Anyway, we got a women's conference coming up, Women Who Win, and we at the Afro, this is Women's History Month, and we are going to celebrate you ladies, and we're going to show you the bosses that we have on our Black Business Matters. I'm gonna show you a quick I don't know if you can even see it. Maybe it's small. Is that small, y'all? Wait a minute. I just want to show this. really quick. Hopefully we can see it and we can get back to it. Can you guys see that? Is that bigger? Can't hear you.
Yes, it's bigger.
That is it, y'all. That's the expo. You can still register. Just go to afro.com. It is free. They have an accelerating track. They have an emerging track for women who are just getting in business. And it is going to be a phenomenal time. One thing mentioned from these women who are bosses and who are winning in life and in business could change your life, could change your business, could change the way you do things, and could elevate. And it's women who win, but men, the women out here, they running laps around us. I'm just gonna be honest, fellas. We need to really step our game up. So anyway, it's for men and women, but we're highlighting the women who win. Final words. We're closing in. Oh, you know what? The Afro American newspaper has been around for 130 years, and we have an archive that no other entity rivals on Black history. And each week we do a Afro fact. So Misha, don't let me skip over it because we got to sometimes look into the past to see what's still happening and what we could do better. Or at least we can look at the mirror and see how we're, you know, faring to what our ancestors were doing.
Yes. So as you said so eloquently, there are, of course, a lot of women who are winning, and the men got to catch up for sure. But today's Afro fact is actually about a man who I contend is a major winner, and I think helped foster and open the door for a lot of women who he saw as great leaders, including, how do I do this? I'm always so confused. The woman, I don't know, Dr. Draper. I'm trying to point to her, but I never know how to do this as it turns around this way. So this week's Afro fact is inspired by the March 4th, 1967 edition. And like I said, it's a little sad, but it's also very powerful. Do you know what I'm going to say, Dr. Draper?
I have no idea. Misha Green,
Okay.
go for it.
The headline is Carl Murphy, and the editorial reads, Dr. Carl Murphy is dead. He was a man of untiring energy, of indomitable courage, and of relentless determination. In a lifespan of 78 years, he fashioned a distinguished career in three endeavors: journalism, civil rights, education. Taking over the presidency of the Afro from his father 45 years ago, when this publication had a modest circulation of 14,000, he built and molded it into an aggressive, militant weapon in the never-ending struggle for first-class citizenship. From a single publication under his astute direction, it has expanded into a chain of 5 newspapers read weekly by more than 1 million persons of all races, colors, and creeds in Baltimore, Washington, New Jersey, Richmond, and through its national edition all along the Atlantic seaboard. Dr. Murphy in the front line fighting for freedom was in the front line fighting for freedom long before a majority of the current Johnny-come-latelys were born. And that's this week's Afro fact from March 4th, 1967.
What? Wow. 1967. That was a great year, I think. No, I know. That's my birthday, Gen X is 67 babies. Throw your hands up. Y'all look good. Y'all look beautiful. And if I hadn't said it today, and if you haven't done it yet, please smile. Just put the beautiful smile. It makes you feel better. It just gives you a different energy. Smile when you're on the phone. Call a senior who has not heard from you because they a lot of times don't get enough love and attention that they need except on certain days. So if you just a phone call can make their week, can make their day, can make their month, can make their year. So thanks again for everybody tuning in to this week's Boss Bees, Black People versus Boss Bees. And if you heard the definition that I read, then we were all okay with that one. But the other ones that they put out there, not so much. That's what we think. So we're about to get on the box for our final words. What you feel, what you thinking. Our producer Taylor, can you put Jessica Brown's websites up so people can connect? And she's a established author and she's a powerhouse in our community. So before we get off, put that up on the screen. But we're gonna get final words on the beautiful bosses. Thank you, Chippy. I like that. Let's go the other way. BBs, beautiful bosses. Let's go with that. There's her website, collegegirl.com. Final words. Misha Green, I'll let you start on this boss bee day.
Well,
Beautiful boss day.
yes, I just want to thank my girl Jess so much for being on today's show. I do think she is a boss in all ways, and the work that she's done, which of course we've highlighted in the Afro on a number of occasions, really makes a difference for so many young people and their families. And she's a college girl, but she really is affecting multiple generations. And so I just thank you so much for being the boss that you are, Jess, and for being on the show. I'm going to end with a little bit more of the research that I found as I end my time on the box, which is that the term boss bee is a term that many people say awakens the inner savage. And so here are just a few quotes that I thought were interesting for those who want to be beautiful bosses and maybe not boss bees. Down to earth, but still above you was supposed to awaken your boss bee or your BB in whatever way. I want to be remembered as a woman who I won't be remembered as a woman who keeps her mouth shut. And I'm okay with that. Whoever is trying to bring you down is already below you. This one was funny, Dr. Draper. May God have mercy on my enemies, because I won't. And finally, I don't have tattoos, but I thought this was a fun one. I love my curves, my tattoos, my imperfections, and my jiggling thighs. No one said you had to. That's it's supposed to awaken your inner boss.
All right. Dr. Draper, you want to jump on the box next?
Wake it up, wake it up. You know what? We lament sometimes the way that the culture is going. We complain at times about young people. Jessica alluded to the fact about how some of the things that young people do and say older people are not pleased with, but it's really on our watch. When we say social media came on the scene, or certain words come on the scene, or certain lyrics that we tolerate it, right? We promote it, we lift it up, we make it go viral, we share it, we do all of those things, and then we say, wow, how did our culture get like that? How come these young people are off the chain and off the hook? And how come we have all of this crime in our streets? And so we are responsible for our language. We are responsible for our own culture and our own environment. And we can't keep saying, well, that's the way it is because young people are doing this, this, and this. Everybody came out as a baby. And so we have a choice to give the 15-month-old an iPhone 13. That's what we're doing. And the tablets. I see your face, Jessica. So we have to take some responsibility for what's in the culture and what people are called, right? And it's so much. And somebody once said, I'm getting ready to get off the box. It's not what you're called, it's what you answer to. I'm off the box.
Boom, that's a mic drop right there. Bam. My final words are be encouraged, be inspired, be authentic, be kind, be loving, and if you want to be a boss. And I'm off the box. Jessica
Uh,
Brown.
my final words is be who you are. Titles ruin things. Create your own destiny. Whatever you want to be called, that's on you. That's something that you have to live with. That's something that you have to deal with. And if it brings you joy and it brings you positivity, hey, if you like it, I love it. And that's my final words.
Thanks again, everybody, for tuning in. Jewel, Chippy, Byron, Mike Green, everybody else, Edgar, who didn't comment but you watched or you're watching on a rebroadcast. Show some love in our community. Empower, support Black business because we need your support because nobody else is there. Hoping that we go out of business so they can come in our communities and put their businesses there. If you're inspired to move into business, do it. And hopefully we'll see you on March 24th. We're going to do it right here during this time slot of the Chicken Box. And it'll be, of course, archived forever, but we'd love to have you in these accelerating and emerging sessions. And if you're a business person, you're going to love it. I'm telling you, last year we had billionaire Robert Smith. I'm not going to give all the surprises of who's going to be here this year, but I think you can learn a lot from a billionaire. That's a nice B to put too. That's Boss B, Boss Billionaire. Aim for that one. Anyway, until next week, God willing.
Before you go, I want to do this before you go. I want to thank Jessica Brown for being on today. I want to plug her business, right? We know college is expensive. She is helping young people figure out this whole financial aid landscape. And so it's time to fill out all of those forms, those FAFSAs and whatever else you have to fill out. Jessica is an expert on helping young people navigate the financial aid landscape. It is not easy, and college is expensive. It is expensive, and a lot of times people can get accepted, but then they can't matriculate because they can't afford the tuition, or they get it together for one semester, and you mean I got to find another $20,000 next time? And so I just want to give you a shout out, Jessica. Thank you for what you do. Thank you for your passion to help young people realize their dream of a college education. And we're going to go to collegegirl.com and check you out, and just, wanted to give you a shout out before we get off of the box today. And again, as Kevin said, sign up for the Black Business Matters Expo. We will not have Chicken BOXX on March 24th. We will all be at the expo, but we will see you next week. So that's what I wanted to share.
Shout out to the Deltas, since both of you ladies are
Deltas. Of course.
Doing big things in the community. There we go. All right, guys, have a great day, and we'll see you soon. As my grandmother told me, God willing. Have a great day. Bye-bye.